defend our country. And you are going to sit there on your butt don't shake your leg. When you do something, get up. I'll defend my country to the very end. Then go back to where you're from, Mexico or Guatemala, wherever. You're born here. And you won't stand up for the flag.
That was a public school teacher in the middle of a racist meltdown after a Latino student refused to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. That rant, during which the teacher seemingly tries to provoke a fight with the child, is a disturbing example of the far-right's extremist rhetoric in action. That teacher was ultimately fired, and for good reason, but that student isn't alone in facing nativist, racist rhetoric from right-wing educators. One commenter remarked that their teacher banned students from speaking Spanish in the classroom because she couldn't understand it. I showed you in a previous report how Republicans are trying to capture local school boards, and often winning. And when they do, those public schools become less about teaching children math and history and more about forcing GOP talking points into students' heads. Those who aren't silent and obedient, they face rants like the ones you just saw. It's pretty easy to understand why Republicans want to create a generation of unthinking, obedient drones. Have you heard some of the stuff they're saying? Strap in and listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene's latest take on gas prices.
But we know that cheap gas, it won't last, will it? No. You want to know why? Democrats all worship the climate just like AOC. But let me tell you something. We worship God. We worship God.
That's right. Republicans have found a way to oppose low gas prices. And they're leaning on good old-fashioned Christian nationalist rhetoric to do it. You hear a lot about worship in the Republican Party, worshiping God, worshiping Trump, worshiping the free market. That kind of rhetoric only works if the voters who are hearing it have shut off their critical thinking. Do you see where I'm going with this? With no policies to run on and no interest in governing, the best Republicans can do is create a bizarro world where up is down, cheap gas is bad, and wanting to prevent climate disasters is a sin against God. And no one tells that crazy backwards talk better than Trump. Here he is at a recent rally.
At an all-time low, I filled it up, and now he's using that to keep prices down as much as he can just before the election, and right after the election, it's going to double up and go higher than anybody ever believed, and it's not supposed to be used for that. The strategic reserves are meant for military purposes, for war, not to keep prices down for an election.
Okay, first off, what Trump is saying is wrong on a bunch of levels. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve isn't just meant for the military, and it's been used multiple times in the past to help keep gas prices stable during spikes. But to Trump and his followers, Biden's effort to deliver low gas prices is a sign of a deep state plot to influence the election. Okay, sure. But what Trump isn't telling supporters is that he proposed doing the exact same thing during his own presidency. Trump even released some oil from the reserve for the same reason that Biden is. But Republicans really don't want to talk about that right now. And while we're here, Trump's whole thing about filling up the strategic oil reserve, that's nonsense too. It's a lie that's so brazen that even formerly Trump-friendly business magazines are calling it out as a delusion. But the truth doesn't matter to Trump, Green, or any of the Republicans who are listening to them. By weakening public education, they're ensuring a steady supply of voters ready to believe anything they're told. And Republicans want to use classrooms across the country to fill those empty heads with MAGA-style Christian nationalism. That's a big problem. The only way out of Trump's pit of MAGA ignorance is to protect our classrooms and ensure that his lies are contradicted by the facts. That means doing something the DNC hasn't done much of lately, funding state parties and organizations that make their biggest impact at the local level. Time is running out to avoid our empty-headed MAGA future. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and consider subscribing. And leave a comment below so you can let me know what I should cover next.